To be 30 seconds to Deputy O'Brien.
Minister, I'd like to ask you, turn to the area of affordable housing, and I'd like to ask you how many units are due to be provided under the Service Site Fund this year, 2018? How many have been delivered to date, and have you revised those targets?
Thank you for your brevity. Minister, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lascan Corla, and thank you, Deputy, for the question. On the 29th of June of this year, I invited applications under the Service Sites Fund from 11 local authorities to support the provision of key enabling infrastructure on their land to get their sites ready for the delivery of affordable housing. The call and funding has been targeted initially at these 11 local authority areas where it has been identified that there is a more pressing need for affordable housing and where there are significant publicly owned sites that could be used for affordable housing. These are the local authorities in Dublin, as well as Cork, Galway City, Meath, Kildare, Louth and Wicklow. The call closed on the 30th of August and the 15 proposals submitted by 9 local authorities are currently being assessed by my department. I expect to be in a position to make the initial awards of funding next month. The Exchequer provision under the fund totals €75 million over the 4 years to 2021, and when local authority co-funding is included, an overall minimum investment of €100 million will be available under the fund to offset the costs of providing both on-site and off-site enabling infrastructure for sites in order for them to be brought into use for affordable housing. A total of €15 million Exchequer funding has been allocated for 2018, to which the local authority minimum contribution of €5 million will be added. And this should enable the provision of infrastructure for around 500 affordable homes based on a maximum level of 40,000 infrastructure investment per home. Thank you.
Am I correct in saying that 11 have responded already and they're being assessed by the department? 9 local authorities responded. I wonder who the 2 who didn't and why. Affordable housing is an issue pretty much, I'd imagine, if you went to the 11 local authorities, they were the ones that affordability is under serious pressure in their areas. So it's interesting to see that 2 haven't even responded with proposals. My question was, though, I take it from your answer, should I say, sorry, that the target originally was 500 affordable units to be delivered this year in 2018. There was 20 million allocated, as you said. So do I take it from your answer that there will be no affordable housing units delivered this year in 2018? If that's incorrect, do please let me know. I would be glad to hear if I'm wrong. But I take it that if you're assessing them and that won't be completed till next month, if funding is awarded, we're looking at the earliest of funding being awarded and houses potentially being started to be constructed next year. So maybe you could enlighten me on that, and I would be particularly interested as to who are the 2 local authorities who didn't respond to the call.
Minister, 1 minute.
Thank you, Lascan Corla, and thank you, Deputy, for the reply. Yes, as I said in my initial reply, a call went out to 11 local authorities and 9 came back in that call, and 2 local authorities didn't. That was a judgment that they made. I'll be publishing information around that shortly when I can, once we've fully assessed the different proposals that have come in. The 11 local authorities that we targeted are the local authorities that we know from data are having this very, very serious affordability challenge. That's not to say that there may not be other local authorities that don't also have an affordability challenge, but a separate information circular will go out to those local authorities in terms of them having to provide an economic assessment that shows that there actually is an affordability squeeze in their own areas when you compare it to existing homes being built and what they're being sold at, or second homes as well. So that work is being done across the 31 local authority areas, but we have prioritised those 11 local authorities where the affordability challenge is greatest. 20 million has been allocated for this year. There will be a drawdown this year from that fund. It probably won't be the full amount. Any money that isn't drawn down, we've moved into other areas of capital expenditure to make sure that there is as much delivery as possible, in excess of our targets if possible, this year. Sites were under preparation ahead of the call. The ambition is 4,000, growing to 10,000. That's before we talk about other aspects under the Land Development Agency, which is a separate question coming up. You know, when we look at it now, at this point of the year, it's not likely that we're going to see affordable homes under the Service Sites Fund being completed this year. But other conversations are ongoing between myself and the Minister for Expenditure in relation to the budget, and in that context to see, well, actually, are there quicker affordability wins that can be made? And Deputy will be aware of those conversations because he's been included in them. Thank you.
Can I get the final question?
Yes, thank you. Minister, I understand that, and it is highly unlikely that there will be any affordable housing delivered this year, and that's why I, on behalf of my party, Fianna Fáil, have put affordable housing at the centre of our budget discussions and at the centre of and as a policy priority. I wanted to ask you about the 50 million of the LIHAF funding that you've said you're allocating to this as well, increasing the potential funding to 100 million. I take it that would be 100 million next year. That's what you're proposing. That is obviously yet to be agreed in the context of the budget. But I would impress on you again the absolute urgency that the people out there who are working, who are paying taxes, who have good jobs, who are paying high rent, and who can't attain their dream of owning a home are becoming increasingly frustrated and angry now at this stage. So delivery needs to happen. We had a target of €500, or 500 houses this year. That's not going to be met. Probably zero will be delivered. Houses must be delivered on an affordable basis next year. People absolutely need to see progress. That's what we in Fianna Fáil will be insisting upon. But I would like you to confirm again that the 50 million LIHAF funding will be actually added on top of this fund for next year. And will you give a commitment that you will name who the 2 local authorities are that didn't respond to the call, and that they say why they did not?
Minister, final response.
Thank you, Eoghan Murphy, and thank you, Deputy, for your further reply. You've put affordability at the centre of your budget ask, and I've put affordability at the centre of my work since I came into office. We all know in this House how important it is not just to deliver social housing homes, not just to deliver more homes, but to make sure that there are homes that people can afford to buy. And one of the things that we are doing to ensure that is actually putting in place an affordable purchase scheme and a cost rental scheme, which I have already commenced. That's not to say that homes that are built and sold that aren't part of those schemes won't be affordable. They will be, and we've seen that in the prices that are up and down the country. But you and I both recognise that there are people on good incomes who cannot afford to buy homes at the moment, and who want to and are ready to and are starting families, and we've got to help them. And that's what we're trying to do. And you know, in the context of the budget negotiations, that we've been trying to do that, so I won't go into those negotiations. But the Service Side Fund is not the only mechanism for delivery here, as you know as well. And because affordability is so important to me, the 50 million that was earmarked for a second LIHAF, I actually moved earlier this year, as you know, into the Service Sites Fund, so we could have greater firepower behind that particular fund. And what's going to happen actually in terms of a LIHAF 2 is that's being subsumed into the new Urban Regeneration and Development Fund, the €2 billion war chest that we put behind Project Ireland 2040 to meet its goals beyond rebuilding Ireland. And that fund closed, or will close, I think, tomorrow, and we'll be making announcements around that in October.
Thank you.
Do I have another chance to come back, Lass? Or
no?
No. If I could just very quickly give the figures in terms of the coming years, which you asked for. 20 million this year. This is Exchequer Local Authority, rising to 26.7 million next year, and then continuing until we reach the total of 100 million. But that is spread over between now and the end of rebuilding Ireland.